All right, so still the thing that we're after is getting your fingers placed well on the strings. So you're good at doing a good fingering, but the placement is a separate thing, right? Fingers is putting the right fingers on the strings, and then placing is placing the correct fingers ahead of time, enough so that your hand can kind of relax and just peel off the strings as needed and never comes completely off, unless it's, there's moments where that's okay, but for the most part, your fingers really in the strings. And we've been doing a few different exercises there, but what I wanted to do today is actually do a metronome exercise where we're playing so slowly that you're having to place your fingers because there's nothing else to do with all this extra time you have. So I've got my metronome here, and what I would do is I'd set it down really slow. So I've got it at 45. You might find something like 40 is even better. It's hard for me to gauge what feels really slow for each individual person. You only know what feels really slow for yourself. But so for every click, I'm going to have 2/8 notes. So it's a click to the quarter note. So I'd be going like dum, dee, da, ga, dum, da, dee, dum, da. Right? So there's like a down and then an up for each thing. You did note, 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 note. And I would set a timer so that you're really forcing yourself to do at least X amount of time. So let's say to this very slow tempo, I would set yourself a bit of an excruciating timer to start, because you really want your start to be really solid. So I'd go for like 15 minutes and I'd put on that timer and I'd play with this for 15 minutes. Don't go on before that timer goes off. Now, if the timer goes off and you're like, man, I'd really benefit from still doing this, then set another timer for 5 minutes. And if you're like, I could still do it, 5 more minutes. The trick is not to move on too soon. Because if you start to move on too soon, then you'll get discombobulated and the placement won't be there. So I'm going to just demonstrate what this might look like. I'm not really going to do it for 15 minutes, but we'll pretend like it's 15 minutes and then I'll show you the next step. So I've just started my imaginary 15-minute timer and I'm at 45. So get it in my ear. Bum, bum, ba, ga, dum, da, dee, dum, and... Now, I'm going to take a moment here, pretend like I'm still playing, but I just want to give a window into my brain. So, of course, the first thing I'm doing is just making sure I'm absolutely placing the fingers and playing all the right notes of the tune, that mechanically everything is right. But before I move on, definitely before I move on, hopefully really soon, I'm noticing like, okay, everything's going well. I've got all my placement. Is my hand relaxed? And I'm just taking a moment as I do it to make sure that I'm not holding a lot of tension in here. So you can still place and get everything glued down well without cramping down in a way that's hard to move everything. So that's where I am now, is just making sure that my hand is relaxed inside. So this is to repeat. Pretend like nothing stops. it or I'm going to run out of time on my thing. So I'll stop. But you're going to do that for 15 minutes. And then if at the end of the 15 minutes, you can do this every day. At the end of the 15 minutes, if you're like, okay, definitely got it. This is very easy. I'm relaxed. My fingers are placing really well. Then you get to move your metronome up from 45, assuming you started at 45. You're going to go up 2 numbers. So you're going to go to 47 and do the same thing. But you don't have to do 15 minutes. I would set it for like 10 minutes. Okay? So 10 minutes at 47. And then now that's been 25 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of time. So you might find that you don't go past that really slow, careful playing for the whole week because you don't have time. And that's okay. It's fine. But just really dedicate the time to very slow playing. Now, if you get through 47 at 10 minutes, then you can move it up to 50. 2 numbers, 3 numbers. So make it easy. You put it on 50, but you got to set your timer now for 9 minutes. So you can start to whittle it down time-wise to 5 minutes, but then I wouldn't go less than 5 minutes on any time. If you do this each day, you'll find yourself able to play very fast very soon. But you just have to really put in a whole lot of time on that very, very careful placement so that your hand starts to just want to be placed because it's used to being placed, it expects to be placed. Then it'll get faster quickly and easily.